So my name is Walter Yenkosky. I was a sergeant in the Marine Corps, and I served from January 2002 until February 2012. My specialty in the Marine Corps was infantry machine gunner, 0331. Machine gunnery is an art form. The preparation is very similar to that of a painter. A painter will choose their brushes, type of paint, canvas, or other medium for each artwork. A machine gunner will choose his weapon, bullet type, and lubrication for every event. The application of the learned skills is also unique. Is the painting impressionist, surreal, or contemporary? Is the weapon being deployed as a squad support, supported by a squad, or independent on a vehicle? Every choice is important and affects the overall result. The symphony of sounds produced by the weaponry is also unique to the type and number of weapons on the field. The light show produced by tracers is awe-inspiring. The taste of sulfur, the smell of gunpowder, the heat felt are all as unique and identifiable as a Van Gogh or Rembrandt. Everyone always asked me if I was afraid in any of my combat tours. I would really call it dread. We train for every situation. We train constantly and to the highest standards. We train and train and train until we can no longer think about what is happening, but rather just react to a stimulus. There is rarely time to feel afraid. This is not to say that the infantry does not feel emotions. Mine was reserved mostly to boredom. I trained for months to execute my job to the highest degree. Every time after my unit finished the training, we were sent back to do the same or similar training. This is excruciatingly boring. Then my unit finally got deployed. Relief. This is when more boredom occurs. You train for extreme combat situations. You train for the harshest realities in a foreign country. Now that you are here, you wait. Wait until the first shot or explosion before you can execute your training. This puts you on your laurels. The longer you wait, the more bored and complacent you become. Complacency kills is a common term in the military. Not being ready to utilize your vast training when called upon kills. There's a sense of relief that happens when the first shot rings out. All the anxiety washes away. All the adrenaline starts pumping into your veins, making you hyper alert. You no longer must wait for something to happen. It just did. It is all the tension of months of training, months of being yelled at, months of waiting for your time to act, all just melting into nothing. It's like a painter getting his new brushes, a sculptor getting a slab of marble, a photographer developing their film. Is everything correct? Are the brushes the right bristles? Is the slab cracked or broken? Did the film develop properly? All these questions are answered the moment you experience the items and the relief comes. That is the closest to the relief that I felt in combat. The downside is that most of the time, that feeling of relief overpowers other emotions that should be present. Did you just see a life taken? Did you have to make a hard choice to ignore that loss to prevent further loss? These are, simply put, overshadowed by the simplicity of adrenaline and chaos. One time, though, for me, those were too small to overtake the emotion you never want on the battlefield. Absolute dread. Most people categorize fear and equivalents under fear. Are you afraid that you missed the deadline for taxes? Fear. Are you late for work? Fear. Is that car going to run the red light and kill your kids in the back seat? Fear. Just as the Eskimos in the Arctic had the verbiage to describe snow in its many forms, I have felt many types of fear. The worst, for me, is dread. That nagging feeling of something impending. The waves of doubt and anxiety crashing against the shores of sanity. The realization that this is more real than anything you have ever experienced before. This is not a video game with respawns, but the possible end. This is the finale of the finite life. This is dread. My unit just finished a long day outside the wire, which is a term we use for when we're not in the relative safety of the base. We staggered our convoy to reduce the likelihood of an attack. Each small section of the convoy switched sides of the road for a greater tactical advantage should something happen. As a machine gunner perched on top of my vehicle, I was watching every intersection for possible threats. While many cars waiting on the side of the road were present, none particularly stood out. Luckily, I was in the middle of a larger convoy, even though I was the lead vehicle of our section. I arrived safely back at our small base, even while most of the large unit was still traversing the road to their base. Explosion. We immediately got back out on the road to assess the situation and provide security for those helping the vehicle hit by a VBIED. For those uninitiated, that is a vehicle laden with explosives intent on killing my friends. On the top of my turret, I have a 360-degree view of everything going on. I have my designated angle that I should be looking down on. Everything planned and coordinated by training without any words spoken. Then I hear it over the radio. 1 KIA. Multiple wounded. No names over the radio. That would cause a traffic jam of communication. It is unnecessary to know who died. There's no helping them now. I must know, though. I turn my eyes to the hit vehicle to see Marines dragging a camouflage and armored body out of the vehicle. It stops at the shoulders, nothing above. I know what truck was hit. I had worked with them before. I knew who should have been in that seat. The skin tone is the same from the limp hands I see on the ground. Dread. That could have been me if the VBIED decided to drive forward just a few moments earlier. Dread. Was that the last VBIED in the area? Dread. Are those casualties going to be numbers on the KIA board? Dread. I notified my vehicle commander, the leader who operates the radio, of what I had seen and who might have been the KIA. I get notified that person did not go out today. They were sick. The casualty was the interpreter. Relief? Looking back, I question that feeling. Relief that was not a friend? Relief that was not a fellow Marine? Relief for something unplaced? It still seems strange that I would feel relief for a person that was helping us was dead. Maybe I just didn't have the emotional vocabulary at the time to identify what I felt. So when people ask me if I was afraid during my tours, I can honestly say no. I was not afraid. I felt dread. This may be intellectually dishonest, but it saves them from pitying me. It saves them from worrying about my emotions now. It saves me from putting my burden on them. Relief.